Ladies, welcome to the Feminine Mystery. My name is Azalea Dawn, and on my channel I talk all about leveling up, femininity, hypergamy, and everything you need to get into the hypergamous relationship that you desire. So if any of that sounds right for you, then check out the rest of the videos on my channel. But let's get started with today's topic. So I've been gone for a minute, but I have seen in my comment section some of you ask for me to follow up on this topic. I see the views that this video gets, and it's like, oh my gosh, well, first of all, wasn't expecting that, but thank you. But also, I do want to follow up on this and explain more about why your looks matter, why beauty matters, and why this is in fact your best investment. Now, when it comes to investments, we think a lot about stock markets. We might think about, like buying certain bags as an investment. We think about things that essentially go up in value as time goes by. But when I'm talking about an investment, I'm talking about your ability to make money in any form. What is there going to be that's going to allow you to essentially make money wherever you're at in life? And for a woman, that is your look. It's your beauty. And look, this is not a video for those of you who are firm believers in equality and everybody should be equal. We should share everything and just kind of live in this kind of, sharing is caring fantasy of the world. Unfortunately, this is all about reality, and reality is not like that. The world is not fair. And we're going to talk about how you can actually set yourself up to benefit from beauty, right? We're going to talk about how you can benefit from that professionally and how you can benefit from that romantically, and how at the end of the day, in both of those departments, you are using your beauty to make sure that you're able to make money for yourself into the future. Now, this is not going to be for those of you who are a little bit sensitive, who find that some messages are a little tough for you to hear. This is going to be a very frank and real video. So if you're prepared for that, because I'm not looking to offend anyone, I'm just trying to let you know, like, upfront, that's the kind of video that this is. There are others on my channel, but if this is the video for you, then keep watching. First of all, your beauty is what will allow you to make money in today's world. Now, let's dive into this, because I think that this is a huge misconception between the way that the world used to be and the way that the world is today. Now, unless you're living under a rock, like, you've noticed that there's a huge change in society going on, a huge generational shift. First of all, we've had corporations, at least in the United States, dominated by baby boomers for the longest time. And the reins are just now being handed over to younger people, primarily millennials, just because there's a dearth of Gen X workers out there, just because of, the demographic gap at that time. You can do more research into that, but the point is that the guards are changing. There are more and more millennials, more young people ascending into positions of power in corporations today than there were before. And millennials are very, very different. The defining thing about millennials, people who are about in their 30s right now, is that they've grown up with the internet. And the internet is so different, because the world used to be such that things were very, specialized. People had to go somewhere to get information. They had to go to a library. They had to look in books. They had to learn from people who were experts in the field. They had to do apprenticeships and unpaid internships. They had to go to college and get these degrees, right? And they really valued that aspect of education, whereas with millennials have been defined as a generation by the expectation that information is nearly unlimited on the internet. You can learn how to do anything on the internet if you ask, like, most millennials. And whether or not you personally agree with this statement, just understand that a lot of people do feel this way. So in the mind of millennials, qualifications just don't matter as much. Like, there are a lot of millennials who really just don't care if somebody has a degree or not. They don't care if somebody studied a certain thing in school, or like what your major was, or what your GPA was. Like, they're not looking for those technical qualifications. So what are a lot of millennials looking for? They're looking for vibes and looks. And I'm just keeping it very real here. I'm not saying that I feel this way. I'm saying that other people clearly do feel this way. Now, picture this. You are applying for a job right now. What do you think the first thing that's going to happen as soon as somebody gets your application is? they're going to look your name up on Google and they're going to try to find your social media. And what are they looking at? As soon as they look at your social media, they're looking at what you look like. What's your look? What's your vibe? It's your looks. And we can call it, like whatever. We can dress that up however we want to, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. I recently met this girl who, she went to my alma mater, like where I did my undergraduate as well as my master's. Ultimately, I went up to a PhD, but that's a story for another day. I was just, meeting some of the younger girls there through, I think it might have been like a Greek thing. I'm not sure. But, I was just asked to attend, so I did. And I was talking to her, and, she's a very, pretty girl. I was asking her about her post, graduation plans, and she was going to work in some sort of like computer coding thing. And let me tell you something, this girl did not know how to code. Her major was not computer science. She was completely and remarkably unqualified for this position, but you know what she was? Pretty, and she had good vibes. And that is what millennials are doing right now. And you need to be prepared for that when it comes to your professional future. There are going to be more and more people making decisions like this, whether it's fair or whether it's not. They really do feel like they just want people who are a good fit for them and their organizations. They want people who have the look and the energy where they feel like, oh, I can sit this person with my best client and I'm going to get a sale. I'm going to get the account. I'm going to get the business. That's what millennials are hiring for. So you need to be aware, even if you plan to work professionally, your look really matters right about now. Now, next, I want to talk about how the competition isn't as tough as one might think. I think that there is this attitude that there's a million pretty girls in the world, that beauty is not even valuable anymore because there are all of these beautiful people. Just look on Instagram. But the thing that people don't realize is there is a huge difference between Instagram and the real world. There are a lot of Photoshop queens out here. Look, I'm not here to hate on anybody, but there are a lot of people who look one way on, Instagram and a completely different way in real life. I know we've all seen it. We understand. And we've seen like the girls who are bringing these filters into like plastic surgeons' offices and blah, blah, blah. And that thing is way more common than I think that we've really come to appreciate, because looking good in real life has almost become so unessential, like in the minds of a lot of people who work in social media, that people have really like let themselves go, especially like through the pandemic. I've been guilty of this too. I gained a lot of weight around the pandemic time, and a lot of people let themselves go in terms of their appearance around that time. So there just aren't that many people who look all that good in society right about now. If you are somebody who is paying attention to your look, if you're putting in the effort, putting in the work, you are way more competitive right now than you think you are. If you can honestly go outside, no makeup, no, obviously you can't go out into the real world just like photoshopped. We don't have like that kind of technology quite a bit, like yet at least, until they come out with that, like real life Photoshop. It just is what it is. If you can go outside in the real world and look good 2 feet in front of a real person, that is really unique right about now. It's not everybody. It's not most people. It is a select few. And especially if you can keep that look going, because a lot of women, I think that we are also like in a place in society where there's a lot of spreading of negative messages. There's just a very negative, cynical, dark, like why try? What's the point of anything? This very like, black PILL attitude that is out there in the world. And it's just really not steering people the right way. Because the thing is, like, there are so many people who feel like there's no point in putting in any effort into anything whatsoever, that if you were to put in just a little bit of effort, if you were to maybe do enough to, if you were being graded, you would get like maybe like a B minus. You're already like 80th, 90th percentile, like just from that alone. Like you are really outperforming a lot of people who are just not paying attention to themselves. If you are willing to eat healthy, to watch your weight, to make sure to pay attention to the way that you dress, to make sure that if your face, needs some work, that you figured out a flattering makeup style, you're getting your hair done on a regular basis, even if you are not blessed with the best genes, you are going to outcompete a lot of people in society, because a lot of people are just too anxious, they're too depressed, they're not leaving their house, they're wearing the same pair of sweatpants for like 5 days in a row. Like, it's just, the competition is not as deep as you think. So right now, if you have not started paying attention to yourself and your look, your overall vibe, now let this be like your inspiration. Honestly, just do it, because you're going to see the results. Now, next, your looks are the ticket into the right rooms. Now, I've talked a lot in this video so far about like how looks are going to translate into you being able to essentially get more competitive jobs, right? Because again, like the second that you go to apply for a job, it's not even so much about your qualifications anymore. People are going to like look up your name on Google. They're going to look to see like your Instagram. They're going to be like, oh, okay, like does she have the vibe? Does she not? And that's going to be like a dictating point for like who gets an interview and who doesn't. I know it's not fair, but I've seen this happen. I do work in corporate America. Trust me, I have seen this happen. Now, but we're going to get off of this topic. What about those of you who are like, okay, I don't really want to be working all for like the rest of my life. Like I want to get married to an affluent like provider. What do I do? Well, a lot of, meeting the right person is all about your social circle at the end of the day. It's not a meritocracy. It's not like the better you look, like the more you look like Emily Ratajkowski, Madison Beer, or Megan Fox, whatever, Kendall Jenner, right? It's not like the closer you look to these girls, like the more like some billionaire is going to like fly to you with like a jet and just like, I don't know, solve every one of like your life's problems like one by one. It doesn't work like that. That is kind of, like a delusional fantasy. It's like, in the Wizard of Oz, when the girl has like the little red shoes and she has to click them 3 times to go home. Yeah, it's a little bit of a fantasy. But the reality is that you are going to be like in a lot of situations that are social in nature, and people just don't know you. They don't know that you have this incredible heart. They don't know that you have, this wonderful personality, which everybody has a wonderful personality, like who doesn't, like Ted Bundy? Like, I don't know. Even he was like quite charming apparently. Like, everybody has a wonderful personality, but like people just don't know about that. When you walk up and you're trying to enter a space, if you're trying to make new social connections, if you're going a new place, people just don't know you, and all they have to go on, whether they are nice and they don't believe in like judging people by looks or not, all they have to go on is what you look like. All they have to go on is what your body looks like, what your face looks like, how you've put yourself together, what you're carrying, what you're wearing, like that kind of thing. And they're making these judgments very, very quickly. Even if it's not in their conscious mind, like studies have shown that people are judging what other people look like and what they think of them, right? In a fraction, if not a fraction of a second, then in a small amount of seconds, like less than 5. It just is what it is. So if you are trying to essentially like make social connections, and you are trying to get yourself into the right room so that you can start to meet more affluent people broadly, trying to make more affluent connections, and then trying to date in those social circles in a way that leads to a marriage, which just is how that works. I'm not here to kind of like convince you of some sort of contrarian theory. That just is what it is. But like, if that is something that interests you as far as doing that, your ticket is going to be looking like you fit in that room, looking like people want to have you there. And the better looking you are, the easier it's going to be to essentially take that value that you're bringing with you into that social situation. There are going to be more people inviting you more places because they simply want to have pretty girls there. They want to have beautiful women around them. And it's just that simple, and yeah, it might not be fair, but it just is the reality of, it is what it is. So definitely make sure that you understand that your looks are a sort of currency and they are going to really help you out when you're trying to make new connections. Don't take that as a threat or take it as a negative. Use it as motivation to work on yourself and make yourself look as best as you can. Because at the end of the day, you're not competing with Emily Ratajkowski or Madison Beer or whoever. You are going to show up at the door and somebody's going to look at you, and they're not looking at you relative to this other person. They're looking at you. And it's either a yes or a no. So you want to do everything in your power to make sure that the answer is yes. Finally, ladies, beauty can be natural at 25, but it's hard work guaranteed at 35. Now, this is something that, again, I really want to stress here because I think that mindset and attitude is everything. You have a lot of people with very cynical attitudes, these very like, why try? Everything is pointless. Like people who are so like scared of being disappointed and being vulnerable in that way that they would just rather not try to do something at all. But the truth is, you have to work, period, and your odds are better than you think they are if you are willing to put in the work. Now, when I say put it in the work, you have to understand that like everybody looks good when they're like 25. Like it's really hard to mess that up. But like as you get older and older, things change and things change quickly. So you really have to be making sure that you are looking your best and putting in the work to look your best as you are getting older. So one of the ways in which like your beauty just kind of changes, like as you're getting older, if you're not looking after yourself, if you're not applying SPF, you're going to start getting those fine lines and wrinkles. And the number one thing that can start to make you look like a little less attractive to a lot of people is signs of aging, especially premature aging. Nobody goes and says like wrinkles around the eye are like super hot. Like it's just no. It's unfortunately not the case. Nobody is like, I really am turned on by like crow's feet and like smile lines and like sagging around the jaw. Never heard a man say that before. Don't think that I will. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you are staying on top of yourself and staying on top of your beauty, especially as you age, because once you start to age, that is when it's really going to be about the work that you're putting into yourself and not necessarily like the genes that you were born with. There's only so far that like genes are going to take you, but when you are 35 and up, you're going to notice that there's not a lot of thin people. There's not a lot of people who don't have all of these wrinkles. There's not a lot of people who go in and they're doing the work that they need to do to make sure that their faces aren't sagging. There's not a lot of people who are going and doing, whatever kind of like activity like Pilates or yoga or whatever they need to do to keep their bodies like lifted and tight. There's just not a lot of competition once you start to get to those elevated ages. And there's a lot of people in those age groups who do want to play with other people in that age range, so to speak. Like they want to play with other adults. They want to, be in the room with other adults, but they want those adults, like those real adults, quote unquote, to be hot. So that is really going to be a strong competitive advantage for you if you are willing to put in the work and maintain the work, especially as you're getting older. And this is something that is very like defining of millennials in particular, because there's a lot of people, a lot of men who they want a look that is a certain way, but the only people who have that look are like in their 20s, and like they're getting clowned for, like dating all these girls who are like 20 something years old, but they can't walk away from the look. If they can find somebody who, still looks good and is 37, that's going to be a very compelling offer. So if you understand what I'm saying in that regard, then you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video for now. It might have been a little bit ranty, but I just hope that you appreciate that this is a strong area of passion for me. I really do believe that if you take charge of your life and your circumstances, don't just roll over and let life, F you. You need to get in the driver's seat and make sure that what you want to happen in your life is what you are making happen in your life. Take charge of things. Don't let your looks be an accident. Make them intentional and make them good, and let the benefits come to you as you proceed through life. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video, and I will see you in my next one.